How can I live with integrity after confessing to my husband that I had an affair 3.5 years ago?
Tell me all about it.
So we got married when we were 20, and he kind of became like a child once we got married, like stopped doing all the things that we did when we were dating. So I was kind of very lonely. He was in the military, so he would leave for deployments. And on one of the deployments when we moved, I was alone for a while, and I ended up getting into this wild affair with one of like my old friends from high school, and it lasted 2 years after he came back. I had a kid with my husband in between that time, and I decided that I didn't want to be with the guy that I was in an affair with, so I ended up breaking it off, and I told my husband that I had an emotional affair with him because I was really worried that he would become like physically violent and potentially go after the guy that I ended up having an affair with. So I just kind of kept it quiet. And 3.5 years later, my husband asked me last month, hey, was it actually an emotional affair? And I figured now was the best time to be clean and live with integrity. So I told him, and now it's just been trying to work through it. So I don't really know what to do, John.
I got to say, I don't think you're living with integrity yet. Can I tell you why? I know it's hard to hear. I'm just telling you because I love you. I don't think you're there yet. Here's why. Your first question you asked me is, how do I live with integrity after an affair? And I asked you what happened. And the first 1, 2, 3, 4 things you told me about was something your husband did 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Living with integrity, the root word of integrity, it's integer, it's whole. I'm complete. And that wholeness and completeness for anybody starts with ownership. And so it starts with this idea, not that he started acting like a child and he stopped doing those things and then he went to serve our country and left me. And so then this thing just kind of happened. Ownership after infidelity is, I don't care what environment I was in, I chose to sleep and have sex with somebody else that I wasn't married to.
Yeah.
That's the root of the integrity you're seeking here. Disclosure can even be a vomiting. In fact, sometimes disclosure can be, I've been carrying around this weight inside my house. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. Everywhere we go, people slap my husband on the back and say, thank you for your service, whatever. And sometimes disclosure can be, I'm carrying this cinder block around. I'm throwing it at you. Here's what I did. You carry it now.
Yeah. I feel like that's what I did, and I feel like I'm just weighing him down at this point.
I think you got to take full ownership. Because it didn't trick you that you married somebody in the military who was going to get deployed. And I don't know anybody who doesn't get married and have things that were happening before they got married suddenly shift and change, regardless of gender, regardless of role or age. And that's part of being married, is figuring those things back out. Like, hey, we used to go on dates. Hey, we used to make out all the time. Hey, you used to not play video games so much, like whatever the things are. And we figure those things out together.
Yeah.
But I think integrity is you looking in the mirror at you and saying, I became somebody that I didn't want to be.
Yeah. And I broke it off, and I feel like we are in a better place now. And now he tells me that he's going to be gone for another 3 months. And I'm worried that he is just going to be worrying about me and my kids, and if I'm going to do something again.
He is, and he should. He is,
and
he's going to.
I want to be able to, what can I do to show him that I have changed?
I think the first place to start is not with the disclosure of an act. The first thing is to disclose is ownership.
Okay.
You know
Just
what?
like
When we sat down and talked, I told you that when we got married, you stopped doing this and you stopped doing that and you started doing these things and then you left me.
Mhm.
I need to take all that back. Here's the truth. I cheated on my husband. I looked you in the eye at some altar somewhere, some courthouse somewhere, and I said, till death do us part, and I violated that. And I'm
Yeah.
deeply, deeply sorry. And then there's just a long pause. And I think taking the depth, right? And I think sometimes we can't go there because we don't. This is going to sound nutty, like I'm changing sides now. It feels like I'm on his side of the table, and I'm coming back to your side of the table. When any of us finds ourselves doing things, watching things, and I'm not talking about just like sex stuff. I'm talking about like scrolling social media, and there's crazy perspectives on things. They're just a little bit further away than what we normally thought, and we find ourselves going, yeah, and then yeah. We have to create a psychological bubble around ourselves that makes our actions okay. Because it's really hard when we are doing things, whether we're watching things, doing things, spending things, sleeping with somebody else. It's really hard to deal with that cognitive dissonance. So to remain the person that we can like go to bed with ourselves, we create this bubble that's like, it's because of them and because of that and because of this and because of that. And it's just bursting that bubble and saying, nope, I became somebody that I'm really grossed out by. I became somebody that blamed and pointed fingers, and I'm not going to be that person anymore.
Yeah.
The next step there is opening your hands and saying, I'm all in on you. You said kids plural, so have y'all had another kid since then?
Yeah.
I want to be your
He's
wife.
great.
I want to be an amazing mother of your kids. And he gets to, as the guy who got cheated on, gets to create the path and say, this is what it's going to take for me to trust you again. Are you in? And that might mean I've seen things like no phones. I've seen things like I want one of those apps that lets me see who you're texting. I want all your passwords. I want us to share a checking account. I've seen all kinds of things. And then you get to decide, do I want to be married to this guy?
Yeah.
And there's not a thing in the world you can do after this disclosure that's going to give him peace while he's gone for 3 months. He's going to worry about it. He's going to think about it. You trying to solve that for him, that's a fool's errand. You can't do that. It's going to be a thing you're going to have to metabolize. But asking, what does a path back to trust look like? And I'm all in. And if he asks you to do something crazy, like you're not allowed to leave the house and you got to chain yourself to the front doorstep, like you get to choose whether I'm in on this or not, right?
Yeah. Don, I'm just so scared of being lonely again.
I know. Can I ask you a really deep personal question?
Sure.
As a brand new wife whose husband then takes off, gets deployed, did sleeping with an old friend make you feel less lonely? This is an ad for BetterHelp. I talk to hurting people for a living, and yes, I can help out folks in tiny chunks of time here on the internets, but often more help is needed. That's why I recommend people go to therapy. And if you're thinking about therapy, try BetterHelp. It's 100% online, so it's affordable and convenient. They've got over 30,000 therapists, and they're great at finding just the right one for you. Visit betterhelp.com/Delony for 10% off your first month. Did sleeping with an old friend make you feel less lonely?
Yeah, it did.
Tell me about it.
It was just, I've been with him since before I could drive a car, and we'd been together for so long, and he was just attached at the hip, and then just to have him gone, it just, it felt like I couldn't cope. Just day in and day out of coming home alone and being alone. And
no, here's what I'm asking you. No, I get that. I get the momentary time, right? You're with somebody, they tell you you're beautiful, or they may not tell you anything, but they act, and that act feels like I'm being loved in this moment, or I'm less alone.
Mm-hmm.
But take yourself back to the drive home. When y'all meet up somewhere and you're driving yourself back to the place where you share with your husband. Was that not a lonely drive?
It was a dreadful drive.
Was not getting in the shower y'all share and getting out of the shower and getting into the bed y'all share, was that not lonely?
Yeah. Sometimes I would just sleep in my car instead because I couldn't stand it.
That's it. That's what I'm getting at. So here's what I want to say. That particular Xanax you tried to take to make yourself feel better because your home was empty, because your husband was out. And if we get beneath it, there's probably some fear something's going to happen to him. He can get hurt. He can get killed. There's all kinds of different things spinning out. The Xanax you used, which is to run to the arms of somebody else, amplified the hurt and the pain, even if it made it go away for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to feel lonely when he leaves again because you love him and you miss him. Because dealing with two little kids is chaotic and awful and all those things. It's joyful too, but it's a mess. And you might be scared depending on what he's doing and where he's getting deployed. He's going to get hurt. Someone's going to try to hurt him, etc. All that's real. It's saying, okay, what is an effective, not Band-Aid, but what's an effective way to do life with this man that I chose to marry, and that man I chose to marry gets deployed a lot? Off the top of my head, it is you going right now and connecting with a whole bunch of girlfriends that y'all can go do stuff on a regular basis. Young moms you can have to your house. People that will come over and watch TV shows and bring half-eaten casseroles because that's all they have in their fridge, and y'all laugh and hang out and do things together. It takes a lot more work than just scrolling right and connecting with an old flame and driving across town and having a fling and coming home and not being able to sleep in your own house.
I'll try.
Do you want to be married to him?
I don't know, John.
Okay. You need to answer that question. All along this call, that's been nagging at me.
I want my kids to have a happy family.
That's not the answer.
And handle somebody who comes and goes.
You need to go sit with him and be honest about that. That's integrity. That would have been a conversation that would have been better to have before y'all got married, but here we are.
Mm-hmm. He told me that he was going to do a 3-year and then quit the military. So I thought I could handle it for 3 years. And then every single time he re-ups, and I always have no opinion on the matter, even though I tell him that I see why he re-ups, and we see the money and we see the benefits of military, and I still don't want him to do it, and it's not my decision.
Well, and that's him living with integrity. That when he got married and looked at you and says, till death do us part, that we make decisions together. And there's an integrity there too about, I thought we had a deal, and every year I'm sobbing and you go violate what I thought was a pretty firm commitment that we made to each other. Doesn't excuse my actions in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but it provides a context for neither of us trust each other right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he doesn't need to re-up every time, but I am saying if you get married, you sit down with your spouse and you say, what are we going to do in this upcoming season? Who are we going to be? And do you see how this gets in a sick dance where every time he's home, you're unhappy, and he knows you're keeping secrets, and he knows there's some darkness in the closet, and man, he is really successful in his military job, and it's just, I don't know anywhere else where I can be successful. I can't be successful at home. I can't be successful with this woman I've known for years and years and years since we were kids. I can be successful over here. I'm going to pull that lever because at least I can provide for my family. I get that dance. And then he goes and pulls the lever, and that makes you more uncomfortable and more upset and more sad and more, I don't like my life. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't have an outlet. And it just gets in this dance. You've heard me say this once. You've heard me say this 10,000 times on this show. Somebody's got to turn the lights on and turn the music off of this marriage and just exhale and say, okay, here we are. But your first question to me is, how do I be a person of integrity after an affair, especially one I've lied about for years and years? It is exhaling and becoming whole, taking full ownership of your actions, and then saying, how can I reestablish trust with you? And being a person of integrity is I'm going to keep no more secrets. And so another secret is I've lost trust in you, and I don't know if I can do this marriage anymore. And then at some point, he might have to choose between re-upping again or this marriage he's committed to. If that becomes your or what moment. I can't make any of these decisions for you. I'm just laying these things out on the table that are already on the table. Y'all just don't want to talk about them. And then you owe it to yourself, to your children, to your husband, to your life to go sit with somebody and ask, why when I look in the mirror am I so ashamed and so grossed out and so in love with the person I see? Because that story's a lie. It's not true. I'm grateful for the call, sister. You call me anytime and I'll pull up a seat and sit with you. But I think it starts with you sitting with your husband, and 30 days after you kind of put it all out there. And by the way, if there's anything else you haven't told him, all of that needs to be on the table. But say, hey, I want to run back that first time I told you. I want to run it all the way back. And I'm going to start over with me taking full ownership of me. And if he's a man of character, hopefully he'll take ownership of him. And then we can move forward with the hard conversations that need to be had.